All right, guys, we'll wrap up tonight back in the NFL with some big contracts. The window to sign franchise tag players was Wednesday, and the Titans took full advantage. They signed running back Derrick Henry, who was set to play on the tag, to a 4-year, $50 million contract with $25.5 million in guarantees. This deal makes him the fifth highest paid back in the league, and he wasn't the only one getting paid this week. Browns defensive end Myles Garrett, last seen terraforming Mason Rudolph's head, was inked to a 5-year, $125 million extension. Former first overall pick in 2017, has recorded 30.5 sacks in 37 games and is now the highest paid defensive player in the league. And finally, the Chiefs also inked Chris Jones to a 4-year deal worth up to $85 million. Jones has kept pace with Aaron Donald and TJ Watt in sacks in the last 2 years and was instrumental in the Chiefs' Super Bowl run. So, more guys getting paid. Which of these was the best deals, Jay?
I got to throw this back to you for just a brief second because the word terraforming, I think I know what it means, but can you just briefly
it's like reshaping,
rearrange?
I was going to say rearranging masses of land. Yeah.
Okay.
To get that vocabulary in there.
Caught me off guard. Back to the question at hand, though. I think it's pretty obvious when you look at, and I'm thinking about best contract from the team perspective, which team got the best deal. This Derrick Henry contract, this seemed like a bargain. 4 years, $50 million. And think of it like this. This makes him the fifth highest paid running back in the league behind Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, Le'Veon Bell, and David Johnson. When you look at the fact that Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson are going to make more money for the foreseeable future, assuming they, remain around, than Derrick Henry. Think about what they've done recently. And I'm less concerned about David Johnson, but Le'Veon Bell has done he's done next to nothing the past 2 seasons. He sat out 2018, then he goes on over to the Jets, and to me it didn't make much impact at all. And yet, in comparison, Derrick Henry put the Tennessee Titans on his back last season, particularly in the playoffs. But to close down the regular season, and we talked about how we'd like to see the dominant Derrick Henry for a full season. But in the last 6 games he played last season, look at this: 896 yards and 10 touchdowns in the last 6 games. That's about, I believe that averages out to be almost about 150 yards per game. He also led the NFL on the strength of that 6-game stretch, led the NFL with over 1,500 yards and 16 touchdowns, and set career highs in carries and yards per carry. And then in those playoff games, 64 carries, 377 yards, accounting for 69% of the Titans' offense in those 2 games against the Patriots and the Ravens. 69% from a running back who predominantly just runs the football. This isn't your Christian McCaffrey type running back where he's running the football and catching a lot of passes, even though I think he has that capability, and I hope to see more of that. But think about this. 5th highest paid running back. On my list of running backs, I've got him at 4th. I've got him behind Saquon and Zeke. But I think based off what we've seen recently, you can make a great argument that Derrick Henry is the second best running back in football. I think you could make that argument. And also, and when we talk about if you take receiving out of the equation, I think Derrick Henry is the best pure runner of the football at this stage. And with that being said, you're looking at a guy running the football. I think he's the best pure runner. 6'3", about 250. He just run through you. We've seen what he's done in the past. And he's the 5th highest paid running back in the league. What a bargain. What a bargain. I give Tennessee props for getting this done. Derrick Henry as well. Obviously, you got to have 2 sides getting together for the negotiations. But this is going back to when the franchise tags were issued. I was of the mindset that the Titans got this backwards. And I still don't think the Ryan Tannehill contract is all that good. But now that they got Derrick Henry, they had locked up long-term. They at least have the opportunity to replicate the success they had last season. I think it's going to be hard to, because I don't see Ryan Tannehill continuing to play that well, but we'll see how it goes. But to me, Derrick Henry, this is the best contract of the 3. But just to touch on the others real quick, I think Chris Jones is the second best deal. And it's interesting because Chris Jones, he wasn't the former number one overall pick, but he was third in the league 2 years ago with 15 and a half sacks behind T.J. Watt and Aaron Donald. When you look at his impact, what he does for that Kansas City defense, and you look at how he played in the Super Bowl, he made a real impact in that Super Bowl without recording a sack. Had 3 pass breakups, had a pass rush that led to an interception early in that game. His impact is undeniable, and when you look at the Chiefs' defense, you can make a great argument that he is the absolute key to that defense, even ahead of guys like Tyrann Mathieu, and his production is undeniable. And this is when you look at how the Patrick Mahomes deal was structured, I think with them, the way they structured that deal, it opened the door for this deal to get done. So I think it's an outstanding job by the Kansas City Chiefs in the front office there for getting it done. I think the Myles Garrett one, I'm not saying it's a bad contract. And I actually think Myles Garrett's talent warrants every penny in what he's going to earn. And Myles Garrett's contract, by the way, reset the market among all defensive players. It breaks the record by the Khalil Mack deal that the Bears gave him after acquiring him from the Raiders. The only thing, and I told this to Drink earlier, it just seems they didn't have to do this. It seems a little early. Now, we've seen this recently. We saw this with the Panthers, where they were quite early with the deal they gave Christian McCaffrey. We've had some other contracts that have been divvied out like that. But this one seemed to be early for – I just got some questions, and among those is – and I don't want to excoriate a guy for one lapse in judgment, but we can't sit around here and act like we can't sit around here and ignore what we saw transpire on that Thursday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers when you had just an all-out melee going on in the last 5, 6, 7 seconds or whatever it was in the Browns-Steelers game. Myles Garrett, that's a lapse in judgment that I'm not sure warrants this amount of money at this particular juncture. Because you got to remember, the last time we saw Myles Garrett was that moment when he was swinging a helmet at Mason Rudolph. I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to go in that direction and pay the guy right now. I would wait. He's got 2 years left on his contract. He's got this year, and they picked up his 5th-year option. Why wouldn't you wait and just, hey, Myles, we want you here. We want you here for a long time. Play this season, behave, be productive like we know you're going to be, and you'll get rewarded. That's the way I believe they should have went.
Yeah, just real quick, for the record, Henry and Jones deals had to be done. They were both going to be franchise tag players, and that deadline was Wednesday. Garrett's could be done any time the Browns wanted. They had no restrictions on timing. They could have signed it mid-season, whenever.
Yep.
Yo, first of all, Jay, I want to say this. I know you've seen the shirt Freddie Kitchens had on. Pittsburgh started it. All right, now that I got that out the way.
That's right.
I look at it like this.
Anymore.
Yeah, hey, so to allude, after he made that lapse in judgment while he got paid, Pittsburgh started it. So here's how I look at this, right? You go shopping. There's 3 ways you can go shopping. You can A, buy retail. That's Myles Garrett. B, you can order offline, use a coupon, get a little discount. Amazon Prime, get a little discount. That'll be Chris Jones. Or you could just straight up run on over to the clearance rack. That's Derrick Henry. That's how I look at these 3 signings. Like, really, I look at them like that. Like, hey, if I want to pay for the name, just the brand, and not really what I'm getting, I have on this nice brand. Let me get that Myles Garrett. You know what I'm saying? Number 1 pick, pass rusher. Look, he fits the bill. He's a nice build. His numbers is this, that, and the third. Let me go ahead and just spend this money. I got it. I don't care. No big deal. Let me spend it. But then when I say, listen, I gotta get some bang for my buck. Can I get a little discount? Can I get a little, you get Chris Jones. And then, like you said, this Derrick Henry contract is downright robbery, especially when you see what they paying Tannehill. It's downright robbery over here. I mean, what are we talking about here? But kudos to the Tennessee Titans. They got it done. Now you have your quarterback and your running back for the next 4 years. Now you can focus on, either building that line or doing some things on defense now because you have the cornerstone of your offense put together. You might want to get another wide receiver. So I don't know, but you did what you needed to do. You took care of the two mainstays in your offense. You took care of that. Jones, I like it, and to answer your question, clearly Henry is the better of the signings for what you get, for what you paid. He's the clear. But I do that Garrett signing, get out of here. Get that out of here. I mean, it's whatever. They pay retail, whatever, but get that out of here. Chris Jones, Chris Jones was interesting because I thought he was going to play on the franchise tag. I really did. And to be honest with you, I think this kudos to Patrick Mahomes because if you don't get that type of deal done with Patrick Mahomes this offseason, I don't think you have the confidence and the money to go spend on Chris Jones because you got to think now, when you have a great quarterback, when you have an all-timer like Patrick Mahomes, it allows you to gamble on other positions. If you think I'm lying, go look at Dallas. This is why Dallas is in the situation that they're in. They can't trust Prescott. So therefore, because of the mistakes they made seasons before, Zeke, now Amari, Lawrence, and Lyle Collins, all these guys that are overpaid, now they're trying to make Dak pay the price because they overpaid the other guys. But if he was good enough, they would just pay him and deal with the punishment. Kansas City, they can do that. Hey, we got the best quarterback. Hey, we pay him long term. Whoop-de-whoop. Hey, who else need to get paid? Anybody else? Hey, we're going to roll the dice, baby. We're going to be in a couple more Super Bowls now. We got all the trust and confidence in Mahomes. Hey, Kelsey, you trying to redo your deal too? Hey, come holler at your boy, man. Hey, come on up here. I got the seat open for you. This is what it allows you to do. It allows you not to worry about the insulated parts because you took care of the main part. This is why when Henry didn't get when he didn't get a long-term deal at first, we was like, "Why you pay Ryan Tannehill? What the hell?" Because we don't believe in Ryan Tannehill. We don't believe in him. So when you don't believe in the quarterback, it does make you look at every other part of that team like, what the hell? Chris Jones, nobody batted an eye. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Nobody batted an eye when Chris Jones got signed. Why? Because you got Patrick Mahomes. You're like, huh? All right, cool. They made it work. They signed both of them. All right, then. They better suited to win another Super Bowl. All right, what's next? Trix came out with a new flavor of cereal. Like, that's how we looked at it. We just moved on. It was another day, another COVID victim. Let's do it. So, like I said, that's how I look at it. I look at these three like, how do you like to spend your money? Do you like to be frugal? Do you like the name? Do you like so on and so forth? So I do think Henry was the best bang for your buck without a doubt. You definitely got your bang for your buck. I think Garrett, you just bought, a 24-karat trash can. Not to say he's trash. Let me rephrase that. I'm not saying Myles Garrett is trash. I'm just saying it's kind of like throwing away money, though. You got a 24-karat trash can. Like, do you need a 24-karat gold trash can? No. The plastic one works just fine. But no, you just wanted to spend money, so you went and got the 24-karat gold one. All right? And you got Chris Jones, which was a luxury. You didn't break the bank, but, he wasn't dirt cheap either. So you spent your money on him. So that's how I look at those three.
Yeah, from a financial perspective, that's a pretty decent way to look at all these deals. We'll start with Henry. 4 years, $50 million, 25.5 guaranteed. Budget $12.5 million on average. So he's fifth in average value by running backs, like Jay was talking about. He's fourth in total contract value, and he's also fifth in guarantees. He's technically seventh. He sits behind Fournette and Barkley, but they're on rookie deals. So among people with second contracts, he's also fifth. And what I like about this deal is all the guarantees for Henry are baked into the first 2 years. He's a $6 million cap hit in 2020, 13.5 in 21, and then it goes to $15 million for 22 and 23. So it's kind of like a front-loaded sort of 2-year deal, though there is some flexibility with the salary cap. But what we've said about running backs is it's really good idea to try to give them big, giant 2-year deals. Now, they're not really going to take those. Obviously, they're not going to sign a literal 2-year contract. But if you can structure it like a 2-year contract, this will put him put the Titans in position where his 29 years of age season, 2 years from now, they can move on and it won't be that big of a deal. They'll have like a $9 million dead cap hit, but it won't be anything like, soul crushing to get out from under. And we've seen a lot of running backs hit that wall and they tail off in a hurry, especially big 220 plus pound bruising backs. We don't see a ton of Derrick Henrys. I mean, Ricky Williams maybe comes to mind. There's a couple guys, but there aren't many of him to know exactly how this goes. But the few guys we do have, they all tailed off pretty quick after about 29, 30 years old. So it's smart for the Titans to have a little bit of an out here, and it's smart for Henry because he could have went for more, I think, because he has that "what have you done for me lately," right? He has that more than a lot of other guys have when they go to negotiate, because he just said, look, I just drug your sorry team through 2 playoff games by myself. But with the uncertainty right now and amid this kind of new world we live in, getting that financial security and locking up almost $25 million guarantee as a running back, that's hard to walk away from. The Garrett extension, this is an extension off his rookie deal. So he has his 4th year as normal, and he has his 5th year option as normal. So he'll be $9 million this year on the cap, 15 next year, which, that's, getting close to high-end defensive end territory, but below the top guys. But then it kicks in afterwards, and he's $25 million a season from there on out, and he's going to be the league's highest paid defensive player. So he's probably worth it. But again, that behavioral concern jumped up, but that they hope is an isolated event. That's kind of what they're going to hope here, is that was just a one-time, hey, he screwed up. I mean, he doesn't really have a track record of bad behavior besides that. So that's what the Browns hope for, but they didn't have to do it. This was interesting. And there was no discounts here, but we haven't seen the contract structure yet. That's still to come. Hasn't been released yet. So we'll see how that plays out. And for Jones, what stands out, $37 million guaranteed salary and a $60 million injury policy. That's like 3/4 of the contract. So that's pretty good numbers especially for a defensive end or a defensive tackle, sort of in the middle where he plays. But what's interesting for Kansas City now is they are just $6 million against the cap. They are very close to the edge, and they haven't signed any of their draft picks yet. But depending on how they wrote this, they may save on the cap this year between Mahomes' super cheap, first year of his contract, and that they're not paying Jones the franchise tag, which is fully guaranteed against the cap, which would have been $16 million. They could have baked some in where, hey, maybe it's only a $10 million hit this year, so they can kind of clear a little bit of room back for their draft picks they haven't paid yet. And the deal overall is structured close to how Mahomes is, with the big roster bonuses and the flexibility for Kansas City to move some money around, make a little bit of salary cap room here or there in the next few years to kind of keep that contender moving. But it also does meet Chris Jones's $20 million per year request. So both sides kind of made it work and got it done. So good news there.